Well, guys, it looks like Miss Marvel's coming back. Are you shocked yet? Well, here's another shock. She's coming back as a mutant. Oh my gosh, no one saw this coming. This was such a surprise. It's not like everybody saw this coming. And even Marvel spoiled this with the cover of the Iron Man and X-Men crossover where Emma's getting married to Iron Man. So I find it funny how this news actually come about and how all the news of Kamala has come about since she died. Honestly, we all knew about the death in Amazing Spider-Man issue number 26, that the pages leaked, and then Marvel spoiled it itself while it was already on the internet, which I just find hilarious because a Marvel editor was just saying to everyone, like online or just on Twitter or something, hey, the pages have leaked. Don't go on the internet if you don't want them spoiled. And Marvel spoils it themselves. And then, after that, Marvel releases the cover of the Iron Man and X-Men crossover where Kamala is like sitting on like another superhero's like shoulder or something. And that's just hilarious to me. And then 2 weeks go by and Miss Marvel Fallen Flag comes out. And when that happens, the comic, by the way, I was actually thinking of covering it on this channel, but I didn't have the patience for it, and also it wasn't that great. It was fine, to be honest. I didn't have a problem with it overall. It's just not very good when you know that Kamala's just coming back. And this news comes like 3 days after that comic comes out, and I am just scratching my head by the weird decisions Marvel is just making with this. So, let me explain. So, this series or limited series is going to be 4 parts, and it's going to be written by, well, co-written by the Miss Marvel actress Iman Vellani, which she hasn't written a comic book before, but she is a big Miss Marvel fan. I've actually watched a bunch of her interviews she actually does, and they're actually kind of fun, to be honest. She's a pretty fun person, and they will be drawn by artists Carlos Gomez and Adam Gorman. Also, another writer's helping her out in the series, Sabir Pirzada. Ah, I just butchered those names, and I've gone through them like 5 times. And I honestly think this comic will do probably not that great. Here's a few problems with this. So, I honestly think that synergy in comics is probably the one thing that's killing it. You don't really need to connect to the MCU because a lot of those fans, believe it or not, have actually been reading comics for years or like reading comics for a little while and don't really expect it to connect to the MCU really. Fans who are like reading comics just because they're interested in the movies will already know that they're different. Me myself, I got into it by like the cartoons, and I from in no second expected that stuff to actually connect. To be honest, and honestly, it didn't, and that's fine. Comics are a different medium. I mean, you really shouldn't expect this stuff to be the same. And honestly, it feels like this will just end up overcomplicating like Kamala's story as a whole. Now, in an interview that Aman Vali actually did for Entertainment Weekly, she actually says like she's never written a comic book, but she has read a lot of comic books, especially Miss Marvel, which I do trust. And she says she's given like these great tools or professional tools to actually write the comic, which I find good, but still, this comic will not do that great. There's so many reasons that are putting this comic against like the medium or the people who are actually want to buy that. I do find this article maybe a bit illuminating on the things to come. So honestly, it makes a big deal about like Miss Marvel's like Inhuman and mutant identity and how big of a deal that is in the upcoming X-Men HELLFIRE Gala one shot that's coming. We'll get more details on it. Now, honestly, the whole thing with Miss Marvel being Inhuman is kind of eh. I was never that big of an Inhuman fan, and Miss Marvel was the only comic from the Inhuman line that actually got me. It was at that time during the early 2014, I'm pretty sure, when Marvel really wanted to push the Inhumans because they didn't really want to rely on X-Men because they were making the Fox movies. So they were just like, well, we'll push the Inhumans and like kind of get the X-Men out of here. Kind of just push them aside and not really have them in some major events happening in the Marvel universe. Which, as a comic fan, I found awfully just annoying, but that's beside the point. Kamala probably should have been a mutant rather than an human, but I never really had a problem with it, especially with her ongoing series. It was something I quickly just got over with. Like, she's an inhuman, so I just don't care. Honestly, when I was reading her comments, it was fun. I never once thought for a second that, oh, she should be a mutant. And even while watching the Miss Marvel show, I was like, she should be like, I mean, I really don't care, honestly. Especially with stuff like that. It really matters about the character more. And with this stuff kind of just happening, I feel apathetic to it and really just, I'm starting to kill it less. But when this happens, when you just kill a character to just bring her back, so it lines up with another universe, it's kind of just frustrating. The rest of the article itself kind of just talks about like how Kamala's journey is gonna go, how she's be surprised about her identity, or like how she will explore her identity, like normal stuff. It's whatever at this point. So honestly, I'm really not on board for her teaming up with the X-Men. That's something I really can't get behind. I mean, she's teamed up with them before, and in her first ongoing series, she actually thought she was immune for a while before, like, I think it was one member of the Inhuman royal family. I can't remember which actually told her, no, you're an Inhuman. And I can't remember for the life of me what it was, and I don't even think I have that comic book in my collection anymore, which sucks because I could actually like show people what I'm talking about so they don't think I'm crazy. But honestly, I don't think this issue or this series sounds that interesting. And even as a Miss Marvel fan, I'm kind of on the hinge if I can actually or should read this. Honestly, I didn't even cover the Miss Marvel Fallen Friend series because I didn't really think that it was that interesting and worth making a video about. With this, I know I'm not to be making a video about it because what else is there to tell? I'm usually not that big on the X-Men and like what their Krakoan era actually is or details, and I really think I'm gonna be reading this. Honestly, no bad intention or bad will to whatever's going on with Monday X-Men stuff. I got into it for a while, and then when Hickman left, I was kind of just like, eh, because most of the stuff just deals with X-Men being immortal, so it's kind of uninteresting. There was very little stakes, and I just didn't like it. But hopefully, this comic will be good, and hopefully, people will read it. I know people are just frustrated with Marvel trying to, you know, create a direct line to the MCU and trying to rebrand the characters so they're more like the MCU counterparts, which is frustrating to be honest. Which is something that I honestly hate. For me, I'm more mad at the fact that some characters will just look like the counterparts, but for no reason, or just like act like the counterparts. That's one thing that I always hated. Well, that's the video. I hope you guys actually pick up this comic because I doubt it will do that good sales wise. But I hope Miss Marvel fans like the change and are okay with it because this character does actually deserve more. And that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one.